In this video, we're talking about 5 reasons why people falsely label someone their twin flame. What is happening in that connection? What is happening within themselves that would bring them to that place where they think they have found their twin flame? Well, reason number 1 can be trauma bonding. So they meet someone who has had very similar experiences. And in that case, when we talk about trauma, of course, maybe very similar experiences growing up. So they're kindred spirit when it comes to that. They can relate. When we meet someone who has a similar upbringing or has had similar experiences, we can immediately relate to that person. Also, you must not forget that specific traumatic experiences, they do shape us. And psychologists, they can pretty much tell when they look at you, how you are now, what you may have experienced. There is, for example, the 4 attachment styles, the anxious attachment style, the avoidant attachment style, the anxious avoidant attachment style, and the healthy attachment style. Just your attachment style can already show you something about your own childhood, what happened there. So when you meet someone who has had very similar experiences, they will have similar traits than you in some regard. Of course, in many connections, it is oppositional, as mirroring works. When you stand in front of the mirror and you raise your right arm, your reflection will raise their left arm. So there is some differences. It often doesn't happen that someone with the anxious attachment style would attract someone with the anxious attachment style. It can happen then we have this unhealthy, very clingy, controlling relationship. But usually somebody in the anxious attachment style would attract somebody in the avoidant attachment style, because our souls want to grow and we often need the opposite in order to get triggered what we tried to oppress. But trauma bonding can be a very strong reason why somebody would label the other person their twin flame. It is, I see myself in you. But this doesn't have anything to do with any soul bond. It is more the shared experience and the relating. We even do relate to characters in movies and books if we find some similarity. But when we meet someone who has been through the same things, that can give us a little bit of familiarity. And even if they share the same negative traits than we do, there is the sense of, yes, I know this. And the sense of knowing can give some kind of peace, of course. It can bring the feeling of being understood. However, this can be a toxic kind of relationship, because when you bond over trauma, there is often not a lot of development. It is just being stuck in the same hole and then relating to the other person and then staying stuck in that hole. But it can be very intense to meet someone where you think, oh yeah, this person gets me, they really, really get me. And that is why some people can easily confuse trauma bonding with a twin flame relationship. Reason number 2, there is sameness, but not just in the negative traits, also in the positive traits. They're a lot like you. They have the same attributes as you, they think alike, and that also doesn't have to mean that you've met your twin flame. There is one kind of soul connection that I call mirror soul, because they are a lot like you. I have made that experience when I was younger, when I was 18ish, that I met a guy who was 1 day older than me, just 1 day. And that, of course, would mean in our birth charts, we had pretty much everything alike. Maybe not the rising sign, I'm pretty sure not the rising sign, and therefore not the houses, but the same sun sign, moon sign, Venus, Mars, like all of the placements were the same. And not just that, of course, in astrology, they were conjunct. So his sun was conjuncting my sun, his Venus was conjuncting my Venus. Another example of mirror souls, I do have the astrology video of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, who also have a lot in common. So we meet someone who has very similar energies, and here we're not talking about trauma, the same experiences, but when a Virgo meets another Virgo who has the same moon placement, who has the same Venus placement, the same Mars placement, and we're just using this as an example, you just meet somebody who has a very similar vibe to you. That, of course, can easily be connected to twin flames. I remember that back then I have never heard of twin flames or any anything like that, but I always thought it's like we are like twins, and I was thinking more about biological twins, and I just saw myself as the lighter one and him as the darker one because we had the same traits, but I chose to live out more the lighter ones, the positive ones, and he had the same traits in me, but he focused more on some of the negative traits. But I saw his traits within me and vice versa. So that was a very strong connection going on for a couple of years where we were talking daily. But that was just the shared vibration, the being a kindred spirit in some kind of regard, not because of the same experiences, but because of a very similar vibration and outlook on life. However, mirror souls can be a beautiful thing if you are on your journey, if you're ahead, because you always attract people that match you. You are never ahead than anyone else. Everybody is a mirror of what is within you. And if you have unhealed stuff, then you will attract somebody with similar baggage. Or baggage may be different kind of baggage, but still there is baggage. So mirror souls can be very good if you are evolved and you meet somebody who has the same traits than you do, but it can be very painful when you meet somebody who has the same traits as you when you're still stuck in a lot of your negative cycles. But yeah, this intense sameness, that of course can be seen as a twin flame, because a twin flame is just very similar to you. But not every person who is very similar to you is automatically your twin flame. The third reason why people can confuse other soul connections with twin flames is the immediate connection. And here we're talking about a positive soul recognition that can happen in strong soulmates or any kind of strong soul connection. But here it's unlike the trauma bonding where we do feel safe because of the shared experience. There is more harmony. There is not so much this darkness anymore. Maybe you have overcome that, or you never really had that, and you meet and it's just instant soul recognition. You feel like the other person is so much like you. You have shared interests and you are a lot alike. So there is a sense of safety in here, but not in the shared trauma, as I said before, but in shared interests, in also feeling a lot alike. In many regards, they would remind you of yourself. That is something that can happen, for instance, in soul twin connections. What is a soul twin? If you want details on that, I do have videos specifically on these kind of connections, but a soul twin would be someone who is a lot like you, hence the twin. But it's not like a twin soul or twin flame where you would say, yeah, there is this split that happened like in split twin flames. It is more like a strong resemblance, and I would like to use the metaphor of non-identical biological twins. They were born at the same time, they come from the same parents, of course, they are raised the same, but still they can be very different even in the way they look. But still they are very strong connected, and of course they kind of belong together, right? So a soul twin would not be the traumatic experiences like we could have with the trauma bonding, but it is you meet someone, instant connection, and it's chill, and you feel like they're part of me because they are very strong. It's a very strong soul connection, so they actually can be a divine counterpart, and you feel them because they are part of your soul tribe, definitely. In astrology, in soul twin connections, we have a lot of trining energy, a lot of shared elements, not the shared sign like we have with the mirror souls, but more the shared energy, which can be more harmonious, because too much sameness can be a pain in your butt if you're really stubborn and not really much awakened or on your journey yet. Whereas in soul twins, there is a lot of flowing because of the trines and because you share energy, so there is sameness, but yet enough difference to get this harmony in this connection. It is those people who say, oh, I've met my twin flame, we clicked and we've been together ever since. That would be a soul twin connection, most likely. The fourth reason is the intensity. You've never felt this intense for anyone before, and twin flames, yes, are extremely intense, connections. We do have the soul recognition and all of that. We see them as part of ourselves. But the intensity can have different reasons. When we talk about astrology, for example, there could be Pluto connections. Pluto is the planet that can talk about instant soul recognition and all of the drama. Positive Pluto connections are amazing, and we do find them in twin flames and many high-level soul connections, because Pluto is the planet of transformation and healing, but it is also one of the planets of karma and darkness. So it really depends on what kind of Pluto connections you have in synastry. But yeah, if you have Pluto connections, or it's just you meet someone, even if you don't know about astrology, and it feels incredibly intense from the first moment on. It could be due to astrology, but another reason could be that, well, everyone is your mirror, right? And let's say you have some trauma, you have some fear of loss and abandonment, and you never really healed that, then you attracted people who were not really available. Either you were together, but they were not emotionally open, or they were not available in some kind of other way. Maybe there has been ghosting going on, and you were confronted with someone who was not good for you. Maybe also because you were not strong in your self-love. And if you're not standing in your self-love, how do you expect to someone who mirrors you love? If it's not inside you for yourself, they cannot mirror that to you. But instead of growing, you decided, okay, I'm getting out of this connection, or maybe that person left. But that wound has not been healed. And you take that wound into the next connection, and that the same stuff is getting mirrored back again. It may be a little bit different, of course. That person may have some resemblance with the other person, but of course, sooner or later, the same stuff keeps happening again, and you're repeating patterns. And maybe you make it out of that connection, or the person leaves you, and you still haven't healed your stuff. Then you attract someone, and the same thing happens. And in the beginning, it's always blissful, it's always happy. I always say, when we attract somebody who is supposed to also come to help us grow, it needs to be harmonious in the beginning. If they're treating you bad on day one, there's not going to be a day two. But your soul wants to evolve. So there has to be this honeymoon phase where you learn to open up and let the other person in. And then sooner or later, there is a shift, and the journey starts, and they start mirroring you your stuff. That has to happen. It's not their fault. It has to happen. And if you still don't do your work, and you manage to get out of this connection, or they leave you, well, the universe sooner or later thinks, let's amp this up. Let's heighten this intensity. And then you attract somebody, and the connection is even more intense. If the same pattern is repeated, and you haven't evolved, well, then the next person is going to be even more intense. It's like a nudge. I have the image of, maybe you've read Harry Potter and the 6th book, not in a movie, in the book, and it's my favorite scene probably. Dumbledore comes to pick up Harry Potter, and Dumbledore, he's a magician, and he knows the family Harry lives with, they really hate any kind of magic. So Dumbledore, he just conjures these coffee mugs out of thin air, and they're floating for them to just pick them, but they refuse to acknowledge them. After a while, where they have just been floating in front of them, those mugs gently start tapping against their heads, and they still ignore them, and then the mugs start tapping against their heads even stronger, until the coffee or tea, I think it was tea, is getting spilled. And that's basically what it is. The more you try to ignore doing your work, and you're in victim mentality, and you're blaming the other persons, the other people who are treating you in a bad way, instead of taking responsibility for your own inner stuff that is getting mirrored back to you, well, the universe is amping it up, and your connections are going to be more intense. And then one day you meet someone, and you have this crazy intense connection. You have the love at first sight, probably again because there may be some Pluto involvement in your birth charts and your synastry charts. Now you are confronted with the stronger connection ever had. That doesn't make it a twin flame. That makes it, well, a lesson, a karmic, you could say. And they need to be that intense, because before that you did ignore your lessons, and now the universe is making it in a way that you can no longer ignore your lesson. And that is something very sad, when people have these toxic connections and then label them twin flame just because of that crazy intensity and just because there's maybe running and chasing going on. But there has to be ghosting and running if you have those fears of neglect, loss, and abandonment. How else is that supposed to get mirrored to you? The intensity could be the fourth reason why people falsely label someone their twin flame. The fifth reason, well, it's the longing and the desire. I actually have an entire video on this. Why do people want to have a twin flame or long for a twin flame connection? Something like that. You will find this video in the Twin Flame 101 playlist. There is people who maybe haven't had a very happy childhood. That's often the case in this scenario, and they just want someone to absolutely love and adore them. They want to have their counterpart, maybe because their needs were neglected when they were a child, and they just long for this strong, intense connection where finally they can feel loved. And then that person reads about twin flames and about how your twin flame completes you, how it is the most loving, best connection ever. Even though it's not necessarily true, for some people a soulmate is the best possible connection. Not everybody came down here to go on this twin flame journey that usually takes years, and you have to really clear everything negative in your subconscious mind. So it's a rough journey. Not every soul came down here for this great awakening journey. Some just want to clear their negative beliefs in order to attract true love, minus the major ascension journey and spiritual journey. They just want to be loved and experience love on earth, which is completely fine. But then there's this projection. They learn about twin flames and oh my god, it's the best possible love ever, and it's the most intense love ever, and your twin flame always loves you. I mean, you probably read all of that stuff if you have done your research on twin flames. And many people just completely romanticize this connection. Maybe because those are the soul twin, reason number 3. It's those people who falsely label their person their twin flame, which can be absolutely fine for them if you are in a happy relationship and you label them twin flame. They're not. There's no harm done, but harm can be done if then they try to tell other people that they are not twin flames because their journey is different. But then one of these people who is so strongly longing for this true love reads about twin flames, and all of a sudden a soulmate is not good enough. Everybody used to want to have a soulmate, and now that the twin flame term label is out there, everybody wants to have a twin flame all of a sudden. I don't understand why. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's what my soul decided to do, and I love my twin flame dearly, and I'm happy to be on this journey, but it's a rough journey. It's not for the weak ones. There is this strong desire, and they learned about twin flames, and then they have the idea, oh, where's my twin flame? But the thing is, not everybody has a twin flame that is incarnated. Everybody does have a split twin flame. Monadic twin flames are very rare, but not everybody is meeting their split twin flame. They're not always incarnated at the same time. Maybe that's not what your soul chose to live in this life. Maybe your soul wanted to find a less problematic connection. A split twin is also the perfect counterpart, but it takes a while to get there. So now this person decided, oh, I want to find my twin flame. My twin flame is out there. Where's my twin flame? I long to find my twin flame. And then the next person they meet, where they have a loving connection, or there is this intensity in the beginning, they automatically label that person their twin flame. Or maybe that's a person because they still have not healed their stuff, which means they're nowhere near the energy where they could even attract a twin flame. So just because they attracted someone in their old pattern, like number 4, the intensity, and that person is ghosting and running, all of a sudden now that's a twin flame. But in fact, it is the own inner longing to be loved, to have that one person, to love them for forever, to be by their side, to love them unconditionally. And that inner desire is projected onto basically the next person that comes. And that's those people who are like, oh, I thought that person was my twin flame, but turned out to be a karmic. And then I thought the next one was my twin flame, but that wasn't my twin flame either. But now I'm sure I'm with my twin flame. Well, let's see how that goes. So this kind of inner projection and just longing and knowing about twin flames can cause some people to label the next person smiling at them. Basically, I know I'm exaggerating a bit, to be their twin flame. So that is the fifth reason. It's the inner longing just to be loved. But my tip is, don't try to manifest a twin flame. If you haven't met them yet, try to manifest true love. Don't label it. It's just true love. The labels are important. That's why I talk about soul twins, mirror souls, to understand what you are dealing with, but it should not play any kind of role in, I want to manifest a twin flame, or I want to manifest that kind of connection. Just focus on true love. Heal your stuff. If you have an anxious attachment style, which means you're very clingy and you're really scared to be alone, work on that, heal that, and then you will automatically attract somebody who mirrors your inner progress back to you. But aim for true love, not for the label, okay? Wanting to have a twin flame is very much ego based. Usually you don't go looking for your twin flame. It hits you and then you realize, oh my god, I have been a coach for so long, but when I met mine, I didn't expect that at all. To be honest, I did not expect that at all, and that really hit me, and I didn't even understand what this connection was till like half a year later. But yes, I have had those experiences, catalyst experiences, that I thought were my twin flame, even before I knew the labels. Like, looking back, the guy who was so much like me, I never thought about twin flames, but I always joked we're like twins, because I saw something of him in me. Then the soul twin connection. I heard the word twin soul back then, and I resonated with the twin because there was this strong similarity, and it was just peaceful and harmonious. Then I had another catalyst. For me, it was like a split twin connection. It had the same dynamic. It was there to heal. Yeah, there have been people I did label twin flame that were a catalyst, and there have been people that, if I had known about the term twin flame back then, I would have thought that is what it is, even though, no, that's not what it was. So I understand myself, it is very easy to label someone a twin flame. Anyway, that was my video on the 5 reasons why people falsely label someone their twin flame. If you need a little more help and coaching, you can reach out. My contact information is below. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Links are below as well. If this video helped you and you want to help me, please help me by liking, subscribing, sharing. Check out the entire Twin Flame 101 playlist if you're on this journey. Share this video to help other twin flames out there grow, or other people you think they might need this video. If you need more help, you can watch the other content or reach out to me for personal coaching. And I do see you in another video on personal coaching. And till then, I wish you all the best now. Bye bye.